was no plan written for this game. There was no specs written.
The response was amazing, tremendous, overwhelmingly positive. Everybody was super excited.
Oh my God, I love them. I think it's genius stuff, you know? All the credit to Tim Kaine. I know there was a lot of like fan angst, understandably so. I would have done the same thing.
What makes a Fallout game Fallout for you?
It's definitely choice.
Fallout 76, and it's our biggest one yet. Type of game we'd never done before. Had a lot of difficulties at launch.
Bethesda, seriously, what is wrong with you? What the hell is going on in that organization of yours?
Fallout, a series of post-apocalyptic role-playing video games. The series was originally created by Interplay Entertainment in 1997. Development of Fallout began in early 1994 by programmer Tim Kaine, who was the sole developer of the game for 6 months. He was given no money and no resources, but eventually he gets the help of Interplay employees who want to work on the game on their free time. The project reached 15 people in 1995, in 1996 reaching 30 people, and then the development concluded on October 1st, 1997, and the game releasing 10 days later. The story starts on October 23rd, 2077. A global nuclear war between the United States and China has destroyed modern civilization. The game takes place a century later, in 2161. You are in control of a human born and raised within Vault 13, aka the Vault Dweller. It is your job to travel and search around the wasteland for a computer chip that can fix the Vault's failed water supply system. The player begins by selecting one of 3 characters or create one with customizable attributes. The Vault Dweller has 7 primary attributes that the player can set, and this will be the same for basically every Fallout game. In the game, the player explores the wasteland and interacts with other NPCs. Characters can vary in their amount of dialogue, and the game overall had nice CG visuals for a game released in 1997. Fallout's combat is turn-based and uses a action point system where the player and the enemy get turns to attack each other until one of y'all die, or until you run out of action points and then you die. The combat in the classic Fallout games is actually super complex for some reason. There are many factors when it comes to combat, like the attributes of your stats, and attacks have a percentage chance to hit. So the game could be very unforgiving in this aspect.
Do you have a -% chance? Like, am I gonna shoot myself? How do I hit him on a -%?
The game is unique as the main quests have a time limit. The 2 other main quests are given after the first quest is completed. The first main quest has a time limit of 150 in-game days, and the game ends if the player fails to complete the mission. The game's reception was great. Fallout was commercially successful and won multiple awards in the 90s. Basically, no controversy, which makes sense because Tim Kaine still owned the game. The second game was released in 1998 and was pretty well received too. The game takes place nearly a century later in 2241. The town of Arroyo suffers the worst drought on record. The village elder asks the direct descendant of the Vault Dweller to retrieve a Garden of Eden creation kit, a device that could create thriving communities out of the post-apocalyptic wasteland. Once you get into your jumpsuit, your Pip-Boy 2000, a water flask, a spear, some cash, and now you're set off to your journey. Everything was going well. An expansion pack was even released not so long after, but Bethesda bought the rights to Fallout in 2007. That was when the controversies came rolling in. Even Bethesda just owning the franchise upset some fans back then. The first 2 Fallout games were CRPGs, but Bethesda turned the franchise into a more action-oriented game. Fallout 3 released on October 28, 2008, and the game was pretty successful, but not so fast. The game was soon hit with controversies over controversies. Fallout 3 featured certain substances, and other countries were not too happy with that. Fallout 3 was banned in Australia due to the drug morphine being in the game, and visual representation of objects such as syringes, tablets, pill bottles, a crack-type pipe, in blister packs. So there was like a whole meeting, right? And people were like, Australia, just change your rating system so the game could be rated to a more mature audience. And Australia was like, nah. But the game was later unbanned, and Bethesda decided to change Morphine's name to MedX. Fallout 3 was banned in Germany mainly because of the violence. So Fallout was re-released in Germany with removed blood and gore. Fallout 3 was banned in India due to religious and cultural sentiments, specifically their portrayal of cows. The cows are mutated two-headed creatures called Brahmins, a striking resemblance to Brahman, the Hindu god, which was seen as offensive. Japan's version of Fallout 3 was very censored. Mr. Burke's side quest was removed from the Power of the Atom side quest, where you can detonate the nuclear bomb, and the Fat Man nuclear catapult was renamed to Nuclear Launcher. To be honest, this actually makes a lot of sense. And lastly, humans could not be decapitated. Games for Windows Live. Games for Windows fucking Live. It was an online gaming service that enables Windows PCs to connect to Microsoft Live service, and you were able to play online, keep track of your friends' statuses, send and receive messages, and keep track of achievements. Some games allowed for cross-platform play, allowing Windows players to play against Xbox 360 players, which sounds cool, but a lot of users did not like this. Games for Windows Live did not work as intended sometimes. The UI was found to be annoying, the service would corrupt your save files.
Oh. Scheiße. Was für eine Scheiße. Hast du das gesehen? Scheiß Windows Live. You have been disconnected from Windows Live.
Microsoft later added a premium subscription that cost $49.99. PC to PC multiplayer was still free, but if you want to play against someone with an Xbox, you have to fork up $50. Users thought this was unfair because they thought you should be able to play online for free. Microsoft subsequently reserved their decision. The service caused a lot of problems in Fallout 3, such as crashing for some players anytime they tried to play it. At certain points in the game, it would just crash. It didn't matter how many times I uninstalled and reinstalled the game. It didn't matter if I did this on a new computer. There was an issue with my Games for Windows Live account itself, and it stopped me from getting any further than around a quarter of the way through Fallout 3. Games for Windows Live was discontinued in 2014, but for some reason, you still had to run Fallout 3 through the live service. That included you trying to play the game from Steam. Trying to play the game without Games for Windows Live would result in Fallout 3 not launching.
Okay, it looks like the game just completely crashed out.
So you had to run the outdated Games for Windows Live service running on your PC, or just download mods to bypass it. On October 2021, Fallout 3 was finally free from Games for Windows Live. But don't worry, Fallout 3 is still an ass to play through.
I need to speak with Scribe Rothschild and Elder Lion. I need to speak with Scribe Rothschild and Elder Lions. It must be...
Fallout New Vegas. After the release of Fallout 3 in 2008, Bethesda shook hands with Obsidian Entertainment to develop a spin-off game to Fallout. The team decided they wanted Las Vegas to be their inspiration for the setting. They learned about the history of the state and took some reference photos. Bethesda gave Obsidian 18 months to make Fallout New Vegas, which is a pretty short time to make a big budget video game. But New Vegas was a commercial success and one of the most beloved Fallout spin-offs. But no one really seems to talk about how chaotic the release of this game kind of was. New Vegas suffered from a ton of bugs and glitches. For example, do not rely too much on autosave. They can easily get corrupted, so you have to manually save your game. Freezing and frame drops, using Alt-Tab may crash the game, loading up saves on console might crash the game. The Pip-Boy textures can come up low resolution. On Xbox, sometimes your game could crash upon leaving the Hidden Valley. If the game saved on Xbox One Cloud Save and is attempted to be played on the Xbox 360 on that same cloud save, the game will crash upon loading the world with the error message. This disc is unreadable. The game could crash when going up the stairs to the NCR tent in Bitter Springs, making any related quest there impossible to complete. There's literally a whole wiki dedicated to the bugs in this game. But don't worry, New Vegas is still king. New Vegas grew to be a very popular game with a huge cult-like following. A fan mod was made, Fallout New Vegas The Frontier, developed by Maybe Next Time and Josh Badwriter, later led by TJ Spy. The mod has been in development since around May 2014 and has had over 30 developers. You are placed in between an ongoing war between the NCR Exiles and the Northern Legion in the remains of Portland, Oregon. The NCR Exiles, led by Elias Blackthorne, and the Legion is led by Marcus Valerius. This mod was deadass like a fully fledged game. There were cutscenes, companions you could follow, new items, weapons, armors, and enemies. The Frontier released on Nexus Mod on January 15, 2021, and it was met with a lot of criticism. Players had problem with the balance of the tone. They thought the mod's attempt at humor and seriousness was strange. Even when the game was trying to be more serious, it came off as awkward.
Wimp. I've probably got worse scars, and scars tell stories, which means my stories suck. My true name is a mystery and cannot be understood by mere mortals. You can
Development for this game was extremely rocky. The mod was an online project, so developers from all around the globe were working on the game instead of a traditional 8x8 cubicle. And honestly, that's not really a problem. But for this project, there was continuous conflict. There was constant fighting and arguments. A developer by the username Devil's Wish 182, who had a lot of creative control of the questline of the game, would basically threaten to leave the team if he encountered any inconvenience. And obviously if he left, many aspects of the game would be remained unfinished. He would also go out of his way to not share anything with the team, interact with them in any way, or just reject any idea that didn't appeal to him at all. Developers would modify and delete assets without notifying anyone. So yeah, lack of communication and direction equals disaster. The mod was taken down shortly after that, mainly because it was unplayable, but one of the developers got exposed. At 9:19 p.m., an announcement was made by a mod of the official Discord server explaining that one of their artists, Zoo the Skunk, had posted illegal material and was booted off the team. Unfortunately, when word got out, the server was raided by a bunch of 4chan users, resulting in a temporary closing of all the Discord channels. Zoo the Skunk's content was obviously removed from the mod. Problematic voice lines were removed. Multiple characters worth of voice acting was removed, as the voice actors did not want to be associated with the game. Art and music was requested to be removed and was removed. TJ Spy posted a message next morning explaining the situation. He said he would be pushing out a final build of the mod to Nexus Mod and Steam. TJ Spy expressed that him and his team were too burnt out and stressed to continue working on the game, and announced his departure from the project, explaining that the project had been an infinite bed of stress for him.
It's sad to see so many years of my life devolved into this, but as I've said for years, if even a single person has enjoyed the mod, then I'm happy.
The mod was set to hit it on Nexus Mods, and the website was locked. In May 2021, the Frontier team came back with new writers, artists, and developers, so it was now a completely different team. TJ Spy was still the project's lead.
We hope that this new story will do better justice to the characters and to the Frontier as a whole.
In 2022, some developers were in Ukraine's conflict zone, so progress was stopped for a little bit. On February 10th, 2023, it was announced again that the rework was being cancelled due to technical issues and burnout. Also, Fallout fans honestly did not want anything to do with this mod. A developer said,
"Where we go from here is still up in the air. Some wish to continue doing Frontier-related things, such as weapons, armor, and even story elements. We are currently evaluating the state of the legacy build's assets, as well as sorting out the logistics of what we do next. We'll have more to announce on that front later."
In December 2023, TJ Spy announced that a new rework would start back up, and the project was already being worked on for 7 months. Before the announcement, he felt bad that so many people worked hard on the Frontier, the rework, and then the events that happened afterwards. He wanted to make a better version of the mod, and maybe it'd potentially have a better legacy. He promised he'd be more involved in the development of the game as to prevent major controversy. No release date were announced yet, but we can only hope for the best. Before that, there were plans of another Fallout MMO game back in the late 2000s. After Bethesda purchased Fallout's IP in 2007, as part of the deal, Interplay would keep the rights to the up-and-coming online Fallout game, and Interplay would need to secure $30 million in financing, begin development by April 2009, and release the game within 4 years. Pre-production of the game began in November 2007. Jason D. Anderson was hired as lead director, and the game's codename was Project V13, a reference to Vault 13 from the original Fallout. Anderson wanted the graphics to mimic the art style of comics like Hardboiled. Concept art were made with themes of retro-futuristic and a nuked New York City. Project V13's development ran into a bit of trouble because Bethesda refused to approve any design documents, and Bethesda would ignore requests and not respond at all. This made Anderson frustrated, so he left the project to work for another company. Interplay announced a partnership with the Bulgarian company Masthead Studios. The two studios agreed that they would work together to develop Project V13, and Interplay were given access to the game engine Masthead was using for their up-and-coming game Earthrise. In September 2009, Bethesda filed a lawsuit against Interplay. Bethesda accused Interplay of trademark infringement. They claimed that Interplay was still permitted to sell pre-existing Fallout games, but it was required to submit Bethesda their packaging and advertising, and Interplay never sought pre-approval. Bethesda also accused Interplay of breaching the trademark agreement by signing licensing agreements with digital distribution sites like Steam, GOG.com, and GameTap to sell older Fallout games. Bethesda used a SEC filing that showed that Interplay was $2.5 million in debt with only $16,000 in cash assets. Interplay countersued and claimed that Bethesda violated the terms of the trademark licensing agreements stated in the 2007 contract, and claimed Bethesda had also acted in bad faith when it came to business. Interplay sought a declaration to retain the rights to Project V13 or return the rights to the entire series. The district court judge denied Bethesda's preliminary injunction, and Interplay was allowed to continue to work on their game. In June 2010, Interplay announced that Project V13 would officially be renamed to Fallout Online. A website was made and a teaser trailer was created. After the website was published, Bethesda came back again and sued Interplay, claiming that the company was only given the rights to use the name Fallout, but not any materials associated with the Fallout series. Obviously, Interplay thought this was stupid. Bethesda's lawsuit and the restraining order against Masthead were denied by a judge. The legal battle ended in January 2012. The two companies reached an out-of-court settlement. Fallout Online was cancelled, and the rights to develop a Fallout MMO went to Bethesda. Bethesda would pay Interplay $2 million, and Interplay would be allowed to sell copies of Fallout, Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics until December 31st, 2013. Interplay tried to rework Fallout Online into a single-player game. They tried to start a crowdfunding effort, but they were only able to raise a couple of $1,000s, so that was cancelled too. Fallout 76. The notorious Fallout 76. This game was different, as it was a multiplayer game. Details of the game was announced by Todd Howard during Bethesda's press conference at E3 2018. But after the announcement, a petition was created by fans calling for there to be a single-player only mode, and thousands of people signed it. Keep the Lone Wanderer Wandering Alone on change.org. Launched on June 11th and receiving over 6,000 signatures in just one day. Hashtag SavePlayer1 started trending on social media. The hashtag was a reference to an article Bethesda wrote a couple months prior in support of single-player games. When the trailer for the game was posted, comments were flooded with hashtag SavePlayer1. At Bethesda's E3 2018 conference, Todd Howard confirmed that the game will have single-player. Fallout 76 beta was released on October 2018, and the state was horrible with millions of game-breaking bugs.
Because evidently these online games are hard, they can have some nasty issues. I I read on the internet that our games have had a few bugs. I did. I read it on the internet, so it's true. And that sometimes it doesn't just work.
There was a bug where the game would just delete itself. I'm not joking. There was a bug where clicking any button on the launch client would delete the entire beta and then force users to re-download the 50GB game all over again. November 14th, 2018, Fallout 76 was fully released. The game was a prequel to all the other games and takes place in 2102, 25 years after a nuclear war that devastated Earth. Player character is a resident of Fallout 76, a Fallout shelter that was built in West Virginia. The player exits the vault on Reclamation Day as a part to recolonize the wasteland. Safe to say the game was not received well, as sales plummets. The game was dragged for its absence of NPCs, so there was nothing keeping players emotionally invested in the game. Quests were long monologues with entities who you couldn't interact with. Fallout 76 retail sales flop in the UK, down 82.4% from Fallout 4. Reviews were not looking good. And you know what? More bugs.
Had a lot of difficulties at launch. And we got a lot of well-deserved criticism. But the team kept working on it, and you kept playing it. And through all of that, this game has one of the best online communities we've ever seen.
November 19th, 2018. A YouTuber, Nikaroo93, and his friends decided they wanted to perform an experiment. What would happen if they launched multiple nukes at once? They launched 3 nukes all at once.
Oh, oh my god.
And quickly after doing so, the server had crashed.
Oh my god, we crashed the server. Oh.
This made people scared over the nukes. Now people figured out you can use nukes to crash servers that people are on. Nukes aren't even something you can easily get your hands on in the game. You have to collect multiple codes that spawn randomly and then figure out a cipher to use. However, players were able to bypass this and just automate the process. After this stunt, a patch went up the next day addressing the issues with nuclear codes. A guy trashed his GameStop after being told he couldn't return his copy of Fallout 76. And honestly, appropriate reaction. I don't blame him. Well, this is not the first time there has been problems with refunds. Reddit user ZP Kane contacted Bethesda for a refund on the game because the game ran terribly and he had trouble connecting to his friends. Bethesda promised a refund, but they didn't give it to him, providing an excuse. Bethesda's first response was, "Greetings, thank you for contacting the Bethesda customer support team. Unfortunately, we do not have the ability to begin processing that refund for you right at this moment. There is nothing to worry about though. We will begin processing the refund as soon as we can, and we'll reach back via email to let you know once we have started that process. Thank you for your continued interest and support. Warm regards, Bethesda customer support." So, ZP Kane waited, and Bethesda sent him another email. "Greetings, thank you for contacting the Bethesda support team. Customers who have downloaded the game are not eligible for a refund. We apologize for this inconvenience. If there's anything else we could assist you with, please reply to this email for further assistance." Obviously, ZP Kane wasn't too happy with this, considering the fact their refund policy states if you want to download digital content within the 30-day cancellation period, you must agree to waive your cancellation rights. After this, Bethesda was investigated by a law firm for refusing to give out refunds. A week after Fallout's release, the game was already discounted by 33%, which should tell you how the game definitely didn't flop. Bethesda did damage control, releasing game-breaking bug after game-breaking bug. They released a $200 canvas bag. So expensive, so you'd think it'd be made all fancy, right? No, it was actually made out of nylon. People were mad, obviously. So Bethesda made a tweet saying sorry, and they will give them 500 atoms, the game's currency that is used, which is only worth $4. People submitted tickets to get their replacement Fallout 76 canvas bag, but for some reason, when they do this, they are given access to parts of Bethesda's support system and have the ability to open and close tickets, as well as check out customers' personal information like email, home address, and the card they use to buy their bag. It looks like everyone is about to get 500 more atoms. Bethesda released a jacket that looked like plastic. The internet had lots of jokes. Bethesda introduced the unstoppable costumes that gave players an advantage over other players, even though Bethesda said microtransactions were only going to be used for cosmetics. Bethesda bans dedicated Reddit user Blorf12 with over 900 hours in the game for carrying too much ammo. A screenshot of the email was shown. Blorf12 had collected over 100,000 rare items. They had 140,000 ultra sight ammo and more stuff on the second account. They were told that they were going to be banned until the issue was fixed in a future patch, but the patch came and gone, and it looks like they never got their account back. It looks like Bethesda didn't learn their lesson of selling real-life cosmetic items. The helmet, produced by Chronicle Collectibles and sold online by GameStop for $150. 20,000 units were made, but only 32 were sold. An announcement made on the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission website warned that the inner liner of the helmet contains dangerous levels of mold. Mold can be present on the fabric insert inside the helmet, posing a risk of respiratory or other infections in individuals with compromised immune systems, damaged lungs, or an allergy to mold. It's crazy how Bethesda is now trying to kill their fans. They didn't even get compensated for 500 atoms this time. October 2019, Fallout 76 released Fallout First, which is a subscription service for $100 a year, or $13 a month. It allowed players to access private servers with their friends. Like, you didn't already have to pay $40 for the base game, which unsurprisingly was bugged anyway. Like the game's scrap box, making players' items disappear. Map 76. Map 76 was an interactive map that you could pull up on your browser to see the location of many items. The creator of this got banned for trying to report an exploit. I have dedicated a lot of time and resources to this game and making tools. This map is just one tool of many. I'm in a group of data miners that mine the game and find and report exploits and bugs. An exploit was leaked about a month ago on an obscure forum. We discovered it, tested it to make sure it was real, and reported it directly to the community managers. Our account that we used to verify the exploit were promptly banned. We have been contacting support explaining that we are the ones who discovered it and reported it, but we have not gotten a response. This has been going on for weeks now. They requested to cancel their Fallout First membership, but their request went ignored. They talked about hackers and how every update introduced new bugs. Bethesda responded, "We have been seeing rumors flying around about the notion that players who report issues are banned. We want to assure you that this is without a doubt not true. Players are absolutely encouraged to report issues. There have been many cases where players have used third-party software to take advantage of an exploit, usually in excess hundreds of times. In cases where this happens, this is a violation of our terms of services, and in those cases, the accounts are actioned. If you find an exploit, you should absolutely report it to us, but do not continue the use of it. We are actively issuing suspensions and bans to players confirmed to be hacking and cheating in Nuclear Winter, while we work on a fix to address some of the common exploits and cheats. Please continue to send us any information regarding players you suspect of hacking, so that we may investigate these accounts." Bethesda got cooked in the replies, users saying how they don't even ban hackers, or are very lenient. As of 2024, Map 76 is back up and running. June 2022, a Kotaku article was published. Reports from 10 anonymous former employees of Bethesda and its parent company ZeniMax Media talked about issues they experienced, like poor management and crunch.
No one wanted to be on that project because it ate people. It destroyed people.
The amount of people who would go to that project and then they would quit was quite high.
I didn't cry last night when I was taking a shower. I pulled into work today and I sat in my car for a second, and my chest didn't feel heavy like it normally does.
A former tester who worked on the game's DLC was coerced into coming on the weekend because the latest version of the game needed a fix. The tester found out that the fix was not implemented into the game, so they basically came in for nothing. 2018 and 2019 was probably the worst year for the Fallout series. It seemed like Bethesda was allergic to taking a W, but as of 2024, the game is doing a little better. Fallout 76 player count reached an all-time high. It only took 6 years. The game has more than 17 million players now, and it currently has a mostly positive user review rating on Steam. Fallout has been through many trials and tribulations, but the Fallout series is beloved by many and will stay that way for the most part, and it should. The series has so many good games and exciting experiences. Like nothing will ever top Fallout Shelter, the best game Bethesda has ever released.